Welcome to the many interpretations of Saurophaganax. Now, I know you have questions. Two of them, probably. Many of you probably have two questions. Maybe some of you have more. I don't know. But those two questions might be, isn't Saurophaganax technically a chimera by this point? And weren't you supposed to be doing coelophysis today? The answer to both of those questions is a resounding yes. Here's the whole thing. First, I'll answer the coelophysis question. That is, of course, a video that is relatively big. There are quite a few coelophysis depictions out there, and unfortunately, I'm not close to being done with it. I have had a very long week in terms of my job, very stressful, all things considered, and I am sick, so that's fun. So I'm just going to be pushing the video to next Sunday. I will get it out. Don't you fret. That will just be a little bit delayed. So instead, I decided to do Saurophaganax because Saurophaganax it doesn't show up nearly as much, so it makes it a little bit easier for me. And now Saurophaganax being technically invalid. Yeah, so there, of course, was a recent paper that basically looked at the available fossil material that we have of Saurophaganax, and the conclusion was most of these fossils belong to a sauropod, as in one of the long-necked dinosaurs, meaning that most of the fossils we have for Saurophaganax, they were not a theropod dinosaur. And to add on to that, the skull that was present belonged to another species of Allosaurus, one that has just been named Allosaurus anax, and what seems to be the largest species of Allosaurus in the Morrison Formation. So kind of see this video as like a little bit of a goodbye, a farewell, if you will, to Saurophaganax. But in actuality, we will be looking at most of these through the context of it being another species of Allosaurus, Allosaurus anax to be more specific. So kind of think of this as the many interpretations of Allosaurus, episode 2 or part 2, I don't know, one of those two. I also want it to be known that in the many interpretations of Allosaurus video, I said this. I don't know if Saurophaganax is its own genus or if it's just another species of Allosaurus. I just figured that I'd go ahead and mention it here just to be on the safe side. You never know what would happen in the next few years. See, Saurophaganax was always shaky. There were a lot of people who proposed that it was a species of Allosaurus itself, known as Allosaurus maximus. So I guess, eventually something like that was going to catch up to it, especially with how shaky the identification of the animal was in the first place. Anyway, let's get right into the video. So we'll go ahead and start off with Dinosaur King. Everybody says that they absolutely love this design, and I have to agree. It has that very Allosaurid-like appearance, very fitting for what is now basically a large species of Allosaurus, Allosaurus anax. It has some really cool lacrimal crests right here that have a yellow coloration, and the rest of the body looks really cool. You got some kind of reddish, orangish colors with some blacks. All around, very fantastic and a very good representation of what is now a species of Allosaurus. So, a very good start. After that, we have Planet Dinosaur. This was, of course, my introduction to the now chimera of a dinosaur. We see it kind of confront a smaller species of Allosaurus as it takes away its Camptosaurus kill. It's kind of shown as the largest theropod species in the Morrison Formation. Of course, now that Saurophaganax is invalid, that title, I believe, goes to Torvosaurus. But yeah, I guess that's neither here nor there. But it's still a little piece of trivia right there. All around, it kind of just seems like the modified Allosaurus model, which that kind of works out by this point, because now you can kind of look at this as Allosaurus anax. Some pretty cool colors towards the head. You have some blues and purples, and the rest of the body looks fine. It has some really cool pronounced lacrimal crests. I love lacrimal crests, and they're really pronounced right here, and they look really cool. The animal is a little bit shrink-wrapped, but really, it's a great design. I think that it really fits that build, and it really kind of fits the description of Allosaurus anax pretty well, too. Also, that the hands aren't breaking. They were breaking on Dinosaur King, of course. They were held downwards, breaking themselves. But in Planet Dinosaur, they're held inwards in a clapping motion, like this. That's the only way that theropod dinosaurs could hold their hands. After that, we have Prehistoric Kingdom. Now, okay, so this is like some very, very old models of these animals because Allosaurus hasn't even come to the game yet. But you did have like 3 different species variations. The middle one was Allosaurus maximus, which is kind of like operating under the assumption that Saurophaganax was simply just another species of Allosaurus, known as Allosaurus maximus. Now we could kind of look at that as Allosaurus anax, I suppose. You got some cool red lacrimal crests, and the rest of the body is fitting to an Allosaurus body. Not much else I can say. I hope that we get the addition to these fellows in the future, and I hope we get like a lot of different species of Allosaurus because by this point we have quite a few. You know, we have Allosaurus fragilis, we have Allosaurus jumedzini, we have Allosaurus anax. I'm missing one. Which one am I missing? Oh, right, Europaeus, the European species. Where I didn't even have to look it up; it just came to mind. Yeah, it would be cool if we get all of those species in prehistoric kingdom, just with some, some variation to their design and overall size. I don't know if that's what will happen. Of course, that looks like what they were planning, but of course, only time will tell. I am a part of their Discord now, but I haven't really seen any news on that specifically, unless I missed it. If I did, that's unfortunate. Now here we have the handsome son of a gun in prior extinction. I really like the way that this guy looks. Even if you're looking at in the context of another species of Allosaurus, it has a very Allosaurid-like appearance. I mean, which makes sense because Saurophaganax, even when it was a valid genus, was belonged to the Allosauridae family. So you got this really cool looking crest right here with some awesome looking colors that go down into a little bit of a nasal ridge it just looks awesome. And you have a little bit of a throat pouch right here that gives the animal a really cool look. And the rest of the design is fantastic. You also get some cool sounds out of it as well, maybe, if it works. Like, it sounds like a lot of grumbles and hisses, a lot of things that come from the throat more so than, like something that alligators and whatnot would make more so than anything else, which sounds so cool. It's a friendly roar. Nice, nice, nice. Broadcast. See, it's like very bassy. Like you can feel it more than anything, it's so cool. I love it. Of course, there's a subadult. The more it grows, the more it develops some of those features. Like you can see that the crests and that little bit of a ridge kind of develop as the animal grows. Greens. This one lacks its colors and not nearly as pronounced are the facial structures. And you can't even see this one, but I'm assuming that you can't see them at all. There's also the elder, which that looks sick. Everything's just a little bit more pronounced on the head. That is sick. But yeah, even in the context of this being the Allosaurus anax, this is fantastic. I really think it's a cool design. So very awesome. Now, Instinction is a game that I have not talked about yet, but I have seen the footage many a times, and I follow them on Instagram, I think. Either Instagram or Facebook. I think it's Instagram. They reveal a lot of their really cool animations, and they're doing fantastic stuff. They do have Saurophaganax, formerly known as Saurophaganax, in their roster, and it looks like this. It looks great. I love the way that the head looks. I love that it has oral tissue, which, of course, are the lips. I like the lacrimal crests that lead into a little bit of a nasal ridge almost. I really like when the crests do that, when they go down like that. I think it gives it a very cool appearance and like really makes the head look awesome. It does seem like it has either enlarged scales or what are more likely osteoderms, those bones that grow in the skin. Of course, that's not something we found with Saurophaganax or, to my knowledge, any Allosaurid. Really kind of gives it more of a crocodilian-like appearance, which of course is not the case. But this looks cool. It has some cool colors. I like the hints of red mixed in with the blacks. Two colors that always go well together. So this one is great. And now we have it in Jurassic World Alive. This was kind of unfortunate timing. I know that this one was added little bit, like a few months before the new paper came out on Saurophaganax. So all things considered, it was pretty unfortunate timing. But I really like the way that this guy looks. I like the blues around the eye that go all the way down to the body like that, like with the little dots. And the base gray coloration doesn't really look bad with that in a stark contrast. It also does have the lacrimal crests, and I really do like the shape of the head overall. It is a pretty solid design, again, no matter what context you're looking at it in, even through the context of Allosaurus anax. It just looks really cool. I do like it. I think I like it more than the Allosaurus, like the official canon Allosaurus to the Jurassic franchise. I think that this kind of fits the animal a little bit better. Yeah, so that is Jurassic World Alive. And there we have it. Again, there are not a lot of these fellas, but now you can kind of look at these depictions as a larger species of Allosaurus, even if some of their designs kind of drift away from Allosaurus a little bit. Saurophaganax was always pretty similar to Allosaurus, all things considered. Now we know that most of the differences come from the fact that most of its fossils were likely sauropod fossils, a currently unidentified sauropod. To my knowledge, I think that once we do identify that sauropod, it will simply just be known as Saurophaganax. So the name of Saurophaganax will belong to a sauropod, but I'm not too sure on that. You know, take that with all of your salt, all of the salts. Take it with every single grain. This was still a very cool list, though. I did quite enjoy this list. I think there was some really fantastic designs on here, no matter what kind of context you're looking at them, at. So yeah, this was a fun and probably easier one to edit, all things considered. But that's pretty much all I have for this one. If you guys enjoyed this video and you like dinosaur-related content, then like, comment, and subscribe. You know, subscribing really does help out the channel a lot. Become a channel member if you want access to earlier videos and just a couple of other really cool perks. And please consider checking out my Patreon. Thank you to everybody who is supporting my Patreon and my channel membership. You guys are absolutely amazing, and you guys are really helping out a lot. But until next time, thank you guys so much for watching and have an awesome day. Oh, and yeah, again, to reiterate, Coelophysis will be next week. And then after that will be Entelodon/Daeodon. You know, we're still sticking to that rough schedule. It's just a little bit delayed. Thank you for watching.